is Almeria, southern Andalusia, known in Spain for having a sea of plastic. 32,000 hectares of fruit and vegetables grown in greenhouses visible from outer space. The plastic used here is devastating the environment, says this activist.
This is Nijar's green space, but there's agricultural plastic dumped all over it.
Because the plastic sheets are changed after every annual harvest. 15% are thrown away by some farmers. Rubbish dumped or buried in the desert.
Out of the 32,000 hectares of greenhouses in Almeria, there are already 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 hectares of dumped plastic.
The plastic is contaminated with pesticides which cause it to crumble.
It turns into microplastics, plastic dust. That can contaminate our own products that we eat or that we export to the whole of Europe.
But the first victims of this rubbish are those who work in the greenhouses. Some are illegal migrants exploited and undeclared. They've built themselves houses in the middle of the hectares of plastic. MIQUEL, a unionist, goes to visit them.
It's a rubbish tip here. It's disgraceful. All this plastic comes from the greenhouses.
These workers have lived in this slum for about 20 years.
They haven't got any water, electricity or toilets, and now the authorities have even stopped collecting the rubbish here.
Like this man from Ghana, there are now 3,000 people living in this plastic shanty town.
Condition is not good at all because here is not the rat. You see that these things. It's not good at all.
Animals and plants are suffering the effects of the plastic pollution. The greenhouse tarpaulin breaks down and ends up directly in the Mediterranean Sea. The University of Almeria is studying the disastrous consequences on marine life.
You can see here that there are a lot of plastic fibres in large sea mammals, fish and turtles.
The researchers say plastic has been found in their stomachs in this region. A few months ago, a tortoise was even found dead.
When we found her, she was full of plastic, both plastic bags, but also tarpaulin from the greenhouses. She had more than 5 kilos of plastic in her stomach.
Examples like this have become common during the last few years.
These types of plastic disintegrate a lot due to the erosion caused by the sun and the water, and we now know it has really begun to have damaging effects on our health.
Microplastics are being increasingly detected in humans and have even caused hormonal problems. Yet this sea of plastic has produced more and more fresh fruit and veg for Europe over the last 40 years. 3 million tonnes of produce are grown here every year. Constantino grows organic tomatoes and pears. He's a model farmer. He recycles all his greenhouse plastic, 7 hectares in total. Some types of plastic are more expensive to treat than others, he explains.
Plastic that has been used on the ground and part of the roofs is worthless because there's no rubber inside it. And so you have to pay for the recycling companies to take it away.
Transport costs so that a company collects and treats the used tarpaulin.
It can cost about 50 euros per hectare for them to take and recycle the plastic.
Ruiz thinks farmers are often wrongly accused of damaging the environment when they're trying to protect it.
It's not that complicated and it's not necessarily expensive. Some farmers are lazy, but they're the minority.
It's the same story in the specialist rubbish treatment centres, like this one that helps treat the 33,000 tonnes of plastic generated every year.
These plastics come from the greenhouse waste. Once it's recycled, it will be transformed into raw material.
These recycling plants started up very recently to handle the huge amount of waste.
Before, there wasn't really any rubbish. A company used to take them abroad, and we never heard about it again.
3 years ago, China, then Pakistan, India and Turkey stopped importing plastic to recycle. To avoid paying the rates that are demanded in Spain, some farmers then began turning to dubious companies.
The main problem we have are illegal plastic transporters. They go to the greenhouses, charge them to take away their plastic, but don't recycle anything.
Last autumn, the Andalusian regional government began handing out fines. But that doesn't put off the growers who are causing the plastic dumping. Those breaking the law aren't closed down.